Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Today, we are setting the stage for a really deep dive into what is rapidly becoming the ultimate high-speed arms race in the modern tech world, the intersection of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. We are officially moving out of the era of manual, painstaking code review and stepping right into an age where machines are hunting machines.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Just consider this dramatic shift for a second. What used to take months for a team of cybersecurity experts, AI can now do in minutes. We're talking about a massive, seismic change in how software vulnerabilities are actually found. We used to rely almost entirely on slow, human-driven analysis. But today, we're dealing with an always-awake, completely relentless AI that proactively finds bugs we haven't even noticed yet. You know, it doesn't sleep, it doesn't need coffee breaks, and it scans at the absolute speed of computation.
So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the limits of traditional bug hunting, explore how AI understands code, look at smart vulnerability testing, uncovering 0 days, the automated kill chain, and finally wrap up with AI versus AI. All right, jumping into Section 1, the limits of traditional bug hunting, or our human baseline.
To really understand why traditional bug hunting is hitting a brick wall, we have to look at what bugs actually are. Fundamentally, most vulnerabilities just stem from human error, right? Coding mistakes, poorly managed permissions, incomplete logic. We're talking about the classics here: SQL injection, buffer overflows, XSS, and authentication flaws. Historically, human researchers found these by just manually reading through the code, trying to guess where the original developer might have slipped up, and testing for anomalies. It's literally like trying to find a needle in a massive digital haystack.
But here is the critical bottleneck. On one side, you've got human beings manually reading code. On the other side, you have modern, massive code bases. Think about sprawling projects like the Linux kernel, Google Chrome, the entire Android operating system, or huge cloud platforms. These systems contain tens of millions of lines of code. We simply cannot read fast enough to realistically secure this volume of software on our own. It's just not possible anymore.
Which brings us to Section 2. AI actually understands code. This is our disruptive weapon. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer diet of data these AI models are fed. We're talking about large language models stepping in as automated researchers. And listen, this isn't just a basic chatbot anymore. It has been trained on the entirety of GitHub's open source code, historical vulnerability case studies, official CVE patch records, and actual exploit code. Because it has intensely studied millions of past mistakes, it can predict program behavior and spot dangerous coding patterns almost instinctively. It knows exactly what a vulnerability looks like before anyone even tests it.
Check out this PHP snippet. It brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean. That vulnerable script at the top, it directly concatenates user input right into a database query. Now, a human might easily gloss over this in a sea of thousands of files, but the AI instantly flags it. It sees the missing prepared statement, immediately recognizes the critical risk of a SQL injection, and then suggests the exact code needed to fix it, which is the secure script you see below. It's acting as a completely expert, automated vulnerability researcher.
Moving right along to Section 3, Smart Vulnerability Testing. This is where we move to active source code attacks. Finding bad code passively is just step one. Now the AI actively attacks it. To appreciate how big of a deal this is, we need to understand a core cybersecurity concept called fuzzing. Basically, fuzzing is a brute force software testing technique. You throw massive amounts of completely random garbage data at a system and just wait to see if it crashes, corrupts memory, or throws an exception. It's an essential tool for sure, but historically it's been pretty clumsy.
When you compare the two methods side by side, the difference is honestly night and day. Traditional fuzzing is random and directionless. It's basically like a machine throwing things at a wall in the dark and just hoping something breaks. AI fuzzing, on the other hand, is highly targeted. The AI learns from past successful crashes. It guesses which specific inputs are the most dangerous, automatically adjusts its payloads, and optimizes its overall attack strategy. Instead of blind guessing, the AI is hunting with a map, boosting testing efficiency by potentially tenfold.
So the crucial takeaway here is how this actually looks in practice. The AI can automatically crawl a website, map out all the APIs, and dynamically generate very specific malicious payloads. It's injecting logic like OR 1 equals 1 to try and bypass logins, or inserting script tags to test for cross-site scripting. And it constantly watches to see if the server throws an error, leaks abnormal data, or grants unauthorized access.
It is, for all intents and purposes, an automated penetration tester. Let's escalate things in Section 4, Discovering 0 Days, moving way beyond known bugs.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the truly terrifying realm of vulnerabilities no one even knows exist yet. There's this incredible investigative technique called patch diffing. Imagine a software vendor releases a silent security update. The AI automatically compares the version diffs and then spots that a C programming function, say stropy, was quietly updated to stronoppy. Well, stronoppy limits the size of the input, stropy does not. So the AI immediately infers, there was a buffer overflow vulnerability in the old version. Then, entirely on its own, it generates test packets to trigger that exact crash, analyzes the memory behavior, and automatically writes a functional exploit. It literally reverse engineers a patch to weaponize the past. Wild, right?
And that leads us to Section 5, the automated kill chain, an end-to-end cyber attack.
This is the absolute peak of the escalation, where the AI connects all those individual dots into a fully autonomous attack. First, the AI scans a vast network, identifying devices and their exact software versions. Next, it searches its internal database for matching vulnerabilities. Then, it dynamically generates an exploit, invades the target, and establishes a backdoor. But it definitely doesn't stop there. It moves laterally across the internal systems looking for higher-value targets. And finally, it steals the data. It's executing the entire kill chain, start to finish, completely autonomously.
And this brilliantly illustrates the staggering gap in efficiency that we are facing today. Historically, executing that full kill chain we just looked at required a highly coordinated team. You needed vulnerability researchers to actually find the hole, penetration testers to break in, and malware engineers to write the custom payload. Today, that entire team can potentially be replaced by just one highly capable AI agent executing those tasks in a matter of seconds.
Finally, Section 6, AI versus AI. Let's talk about revolutionizing our defenses. Now, before you unplug your router and move to an off-grid cabin in the woods, let's look at the blue team. Enterprise security teams are heavily utilizing this exact same technology for rapid automated defense. Just as AI can read massive code bases to find bugs, defensive AI continuously analyzes millions of lines of system logs. It monitors the network to detect abnormal traffic, discovers unknown attack patterns, correlates seemingly unrelated events happening across the globe, and in some cases, it even automatically deploys patches to vulnerabilities before human operators even realize they're under attack.
Defensive AI essentially acts as an ever-vigilant guard. It processes these anomalies in mere seconds. If there's a sudden, massive outbound connection from a server that normally only handles local traffic, the AI flags it instantly. If a user account logs in at midnight from a completely new country, or if an API suddenly falls under a massive brute force attack, the defensive AI can sever the connection, lock the account, and stop the breach dead in its tracks before it escalates into a full-blown crisis. So we arrive at our final thought for today's explainer. What happens to the world when AI is fundamentally better and infinitely faster at finding bugs than human beings? On one hand, this technology helps us patch vulnerabilities early, securing our infrastructure in ways we never honestly thought possible. But on the other hand, it absolutely accelerates the speed of attacks far beyond human reaction time. The arms race is no longer human versus human. We've entered an era of algorithm versus algorithm. I invite you to really ponder that new automated landscape. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today, and as always, keep learning.